So it's going to be great. It's going to be great. It's going to be great. Hello, guys, and what's up? We are live on YouTube, live on the TikTok. It has been a while. It has been a minute, but I'm glad to be here with you guys. Luke, I am your father. Is that the case? Well, give me some money. I want some money if you're my father. If that's the case. What's up, guys? Hello to all of my friends from TikTok. If you guys are tuning in, let me know if you're here in the chat. Just click that link for those who are invited and I will bring you in. More likes can attract. Oh yeah, that's TikTok. Hello, how are you? I'm doing great. This is the way. Thanks for being here. Hello. We are going to be talking about the Disney Gallery, the Mandalorian season 2 finale today. I hope you guys all watched it. If you haven't watched it, well, that's what we're going to be talking about today here on TikTok and YouTube. For those of you guys who are watching here on TikTok, I'm going to be live. I'm live now on YouTube, and I'm going to have friends from TikTok come over, and we're going to be chatting it up. Dad, is that you? I don't think I'm your dad, man. I don't think I'm your dad. I'm playing Skyrim and massacring the world as a werewolf. That sounds fun. That sounds really fun. Mando, you back? I missed you, Mandalorian. Yes, DadaLorian has returned. I told you I would. Back in the new place in our house, man. It's very, very exciting. So I'm probably gonna do like like MTV Cribs. You guys ever watch? And maybe I'm showing my age a little bit with that statement, but anyone who knows what I'm talking about, MTV Cribs. I don't even know if that's still like a thing today. But anyway, I'm going to do a thing where I kind of like show you guys around the house, eventually give you a house tour on YouTube. And Julian says, hi, what's up, Julian? Thanks for tuning in. Good to see you here. Thanks for the weights, man. I appreciate that. Hey, man, what's up? I'm back, Mando. Hello. Thanks for tuning in. Mario Ruiz says, hello, how are you? I'm doing great. Doing very great. Good to see so many folks popping in and hanging out. I love your videos. Thank you, man. I appreciate that. I'm glad you guys love the videos as much as I love making them. Are you on my bounty list? You just might be. You just might be, my friend. I have to check the bounty list, and then I'll let you know. But anyway, today we are going to be talking about the Mandalorian season 2 finale. Disney Gallery, they just released their episode today, and I watched it at like 4 o'clock in the morning because I wanted a head start so I could, attack this fresh and converse with you guys and my friends from TikTok who will be joining us momentarily. So we'll have some other folks popping in here to the stream. We'll be hanging out, and I cannot wait to come in and start the conversation here soon. Anyway, man, what have I missed? I've still been present, even though I haven't been like present. Like I haven't done streams in like a few days. So the cool thing is for my TikTok folks, you guys have been experiencing, a cool takeover on my account where, I've had friends from TikTok, take over the page and they've been posting and that's been really fun. And they've been killing it, doing, a fantastic job, with the postings and whatnot, which has been so fun. And I think it's great for you guys to meet some of the other, people that are in the Star Wars, community and whatnot. Is it hard to do the Mando voice? Not really. I mean, at least for me, it's not. It's kind of one of those things of it's I've always been good at, impersonations, being an actor, voice actor, so kind of comes naturally. But I learned it best from Pedro Pascal himself. He said it's a bedroom voice. So you have to think very sensual, it's very inviting, but yet very sexy. And it's like, hey, what if I was the Bachelor? This is what my voice would sound like, So anyway, enough of me. Let me bring my buddy in, Xanatos. What's good, man?
How's it going? Can you hear me?
I can hear you. I can see you. Good to see you, my friend. Hello.
I watched the special like an hour ago, so it's all fresh on my mind now.
Oh, there we go. Oh man, there's so much to talk about. But number one, good to see you, man. It has been a while. Oh my goodness, I feel like what have I been doing with my life? You know what I mean? Yeah, I moved into a house, but my streams are important. My friends are important, man. But no, it's good to see you. Xanatos is one of my other buddies that has been helping out on my page on TikTok and posting some fun content. I think I have another one of yours that's scheduled. I don't know if it posted yet. I don't know if both of yours have posted yet. Erin said she sent me 2 other ones, but I'm like, I only got one from her. So I don't know if other folks have been having issues with that.
Yeah,
I double check.
I sent you 2. I actually haven't been able to post much on my own stuff the past couple of days.
Got you. Well, at least I know I'm caught up. I got to check with her. Hopefully she's popping in today. We got my buddy Chris, the Star Wars lawyer, is in the house. What's up, man?
How's it going, man?
It's going really good. It's going really good. Why is my face so big? There it is.
There you go.
There we go. I mean, I know I have a big head. I know. But I was like, I need to restructure that. So we're all here together. General Skywalker says he is really small. Everyone else that I had on here, yeah. I fixed it. We can hardly see him. Is there? Yeah. Okay, I fixed it. Calm down. I know my head's big, but I shrunk it down. Good to see you, gentlemen. Star Wars lawyer, good buddy of mine. He as well has been one of those guys that's taking over the page and doing some fun stuff. You get a couple things from him. Like you get lore, but then you also get like the Finn stuff, and you also get Lando. So he's done a good multitude of that stuff, which has been really fun to watch, and it's helped me out so much. So thank you, both of you gentlemen, and anyone else I think everyone. We got a couple other people that are going to be joining us here shortly, but yeah, it's been so fun to just watch you guys' content. I love it, man. So
not a problem. I got a few more videos to send you, including a scene recreation with that I did with Nicole Maricela when we were together. So
okay,
you got a Finn and Poe video coming.
You got TikTok. You couldn't hear it for yourself, but my buddy Star Wars lawyer, he's got a Finn and Poe thing that's going to be coming to the page. So there, I will be in full, stream mode starting today, but my TikTok stuff will be back after August. So September 1st, we're back in gear where I'll be posting like crazy and attacking you guys' For You page like I always do. But man, my buddies, man, they've been killing it. I enjoy watching you guys' stuff. It's really fun. And I have a list of like questions to guide our conversation for today, because this episode, I don't know about you guys, but I just felt the emotional weight.
Yep.
Watching this, you kind of felt that from everyone that was involved, and it's not even just the people that were involved. It's even for the fans. It was kind of one of those things where you really just, I don't know. There's just something about Luke. There's something about that moment and everything that was built up. You just kind of felt the weight that everyone was kind of carrying, both in the fandom, both behind the scenes, and that's something that we'll touch on here soon. But I was like, and when I say wait, I mean it in a good way, but you could just really feel, everyone just really cares so much about this story and that character particularly,
Mm-hmm.
So a lot to talk about. Now, while we're waiting on other people, Star Wars lawyer and Xanatos, I'm going to pick your brains because I'm behind on this. Now, this is getting off tangent. We'll get back onto our course of conversation, but I've heard rumors about a Finn project, something that's happening. Can you guys elaborate on this? Give me some truth.
It's a rumor.
Okay.
And my stance on this Finn rumor is I will not believe anything until I see an official press release, or we're at Star Wars Celebration or a D23 conference and they bring out John Boyega on stage with a lightsaber and he lifts it up like Natalie Portman did for Thor: Love and Thunder at Comic-Con a couple years ago.
Yep.
Until that happens, I will not believe this rumor. I will not let Disney hurt me again with
yeah, I like that. So for my TikTok folks, for those who can't hear, Chris was saying again about this whole Finn rumor. It's kind of one of those things. Don't believe it until there's an actual press release. Because honestly, it's a lot like it's a lot like YouTube, where there's just so much clickbait. You know what I mean? And what's crazy, people get like thousands of views on this stuff. You know what I mean? So don't believe it until there's an actual, release. Xanatos, what are your thoughts on that, man? Would you be excited though? Would you be excited for a fan type of spin-off story?
I would be excited mainly because I think that the whole Force sensitive thing, all of that should have happened in 8. He should have gone with Rey, or gone like to meet her and trained on the island with her, all that kind of stuff. Like that should have happened in Episode 8. And I did hear a bit of the rumor that it might be like a prequel to the sequels, which I don't want. I want the Force sensitivity storyline. I don't, as much as the Stormtrooper story would still be interesting, I want the Jedi Finn storyline.
Yeah, I feel that. Absolutely. I think I think one of the things with Finn that, and again, they even mentioned this in the gallery, which we're going to talk about too, where we live in a day and age where, us as fans, we have such a impact, on how things can be voiced, and a lot of people, will listen to that who are in production. So yeah, you want to cater to fans. Sometimes that can be negative, sometimes that can be positive. But I think in this sense, I think from the beginning, we were kind of fed a certain idea with this character. You know what I mean? Where it was like, hey, it was presented like this, but in reality, you kind of got this. You kind of get what I'm saying, with Finn. So I feel like if they're going to do anything with this character any further, I would agree, where it's like, give the people what they've been wanting, versus branching off and doing anything else. So I would 100% agree with that. I would love to see Jedi Finn, more of the Force sensitivity, so I would agree with that.
And we do have information on Finn and his time in the First Order before The Force Awakens. There were some comics and some books about that. So we do have that information. So yeah, it'd be cool to like see that in live action. But I think we need more post sequel trilogy content. Because I meant to look this up the other day, but we are 2 years post the Rise of Skywalker, and at least with the end of the prequel trilogy, we had 3 years before we got the Clone Wars movie and TV show. So we're coming up on that next year, and from the lineup of what we have for more Star Wars content, I don't think any of it is sequels. And I don't think they waited all that long to start pumping out books for Legends after the original trilogy. So like, and granted, I love what they're doing with the High Republic. It's absolutely fantastic. But I think you need to put some of that energy into the post sequel trilogy as well.
I agree. I would agree with that, man. It's one of those things, because I'm bringing it back to the gallery, where even something Mark Hamill said, where the fascinating thing about Luke, and this is tying into your point, Chris, where he said he was talking to George Lucas, and it was kind of like one of those things of, well, after Return of the Jedi, I mean, his character's done, and he was kind of like joking about it. But then, you think like, well, after Return of the Jedi, and then you have the sequel trilogy, there's this massive gap of time with this established character. So it's like, there's a lot that you can explore there, versus with Finn, it's like you mentioned, like we know that there's already information that's canon, that's out there. If you want to know a little bit more about his backstory, that does exist. But it's what happens now, kind of going forward with that character. I think that everyone is really curious about. Like, we know he was a stormtrooper. We know what stormtroopers do. That's not a big necessity. But it's like, there's so much. I think the most intriguing thing about his character from day one was like a stormtrooper that went rogue, that's Force sensitive. Give me more of that. I want to see more of that. And I think you're right in that sense of like, with his character particularly, it's like, explore where you're going forward, versus so much of backtracking. Luke, it's totally different, because in his lifespan, there's this massive gap of time from Return of the Jedi to where he have the Jedi school. So it's like, okay, what happened? We want to see a little bit more of that. But yeah, I think Finn definitely deserves to kind of have a little more futuristic stuff down the road. I would love to see that. Hi, is this a TikTok face reveal? No, I mean, it is a revealing of the face, but I decided in live streams, I'm just going to show my face. Because number one, you guys may not know this, but it is hot as hell wearing that helmet. So imagine trying to be streaming for an hour in a Mando bucket. No, come on. I know y'all might like it, but me, I'm dripping in sweat, man. It's crazy. So, and plus, I like to show my chocolate face. So there you go.
It's funny, like when you've been posting the videos and people are like face reveal, and I was like,
oh yeah.
My face.
I mean, look, I know Chris is better looking than me, okay, but okay, we're two different people. Everyone, who else? Somebody thought that Mama Mando was still me. I was like, no, it's clearly a girl. She has a ponytail. Hanging out of her helmet. And yeah, man, I get so many crazy comments. But anyway, I digress. Any other Star Wars news that I've missed that you guys wanted to touch on before we jump in?
So Kenobi is either like right on the cusp of finishing filming, or it has finished principal filming.
Oh wow.
Andor, I've been starting to hear the rumors that they're around the same process of being done as well.
They already started for Andor, really?
Yeah, they've been working on Andor for most of this year.
Okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so looks like those are wrapping up. So of the Star Wars Disney Plus shows that have been announced, I think at least half of them have finished filming. That's
crazy. Wow. So yeah, that's gonna be bonkers, man. And we don't get Kenobi until next year.
Next year.
Yeah. And then Book of Boba Fett this December, Visions next month. Holy crap. There's a lot to be excited for, man. I mean, I guess the main thing for me is like I get so like distraught going into like Walmart and Target looking at the toy section, because whenever I go to Walmart or Target, like the first thing. So okay, for Target, I told you guys this before. So when me and my family go to Target, my wife, she has to go to the dollar section. I'm like always hurried up. Come on. Like we always go there first, and then my thing, I go to the toys. Like that's what I go to look at whenever I go to Target. Doesn't matter. Like I could be going there specifically to look at jeans or get some bread. Doesn't matter. I'm still gonna go look at the toys. So I go to the toys every time, and it's so discouraging. Like to look at the Star Wars stuff, man. They gotta step their game up. There's like not much. There's a lot of Grogu merch and like random like Clone Wars stuff, but nothing new right now, which is so strange. I feel like they should have had something else, but I don't know. Maybe there's something coming. We talked about this before. Their marketing has been trash for multiple occasions. So maybe we'll get hit with a wave of something. But anyway.
Oh, did y'all talk about the Star Wars hotel on the last stream?
Briefly. What are your thoughts on it?
Before I was more on board even when I saw the price tag, but now, because when I looked at the itinerary that they released, so you do get a ticket with it to go into Hollywood Studios, right?
Yeah.
And you get priority seating on Rise of the Resistance and Smuggler's Run, which are like, the two big rides.
Yeah.
But you only get 4 hours in the park.
4 hours?
4 hours. So even with the Rise of the Resistance and Smuggler's Run, I'm assuming even with priority seating, there's still going to be like a little bit of a wait.
Yeah.
You may not be able to do the lightsaber, make your own lightsaber if you wanted to do that. Like you may not be able to, like eat at some of the places or do some of the other little things because there are other people in the park. So if you're not getting priority to all of that, like 4 hours is like you're running from thing to thing, and I'm like, I don't know about that.
Yeah, and I'm assuming that's because they probably have it set up where it sounds like it's very story engaged. So you're there and you're
on a schedule.
Yeah. Oh, that doesn't sound very. I want to leisurely be on a schedule.
Right.
If I'm getting chased by a stormtrooper, be like, wait. Let's just take a quick 5-minute break. I'm gonna go use the bathroom, go grab some blue milk, and then we'll get back to this. All right, now let's go.
Exactly. It should have been a cruise.
Yeah, man, it should have been a cruise. but whatever. Xanatos, would you do it? Pay 5,000?
No, because that's like I already can't afford going to Galaxy's Edge, and that's like the next thing I want to be doing. But I want to spend like the day. I want to spend the day there, and just build a lightsaber, all leisurely.
Yeah,
like, and just that amount of money just boggles my mind because that's like half a year's rent. You know?
Yeah, man, it's crazy. You know what I just thought about too? We should all like definitely plan a Disneyland trip one of these days. I'm not saying like tomorrow or anything, but eventually, like down the road. I've got like, okay, so kids, they can get in for free up to 3 years old. So I'm like, okay, my daughter, next year, man, it's the last year that I can get her in for free. So I don't know. Y'all let me know.
Wars Celebration, you know, because Star Wars Celebration, you're not going to be there the entire day unless you want to. Like, you'll be able to pick and choose like the things you want to go to, or if you can sign up in time. So there could be a time where it's like, okay, the panels that we want to go to are in the morning or they're in later in the evening. So like, let's go to Disneyland early on. And then
I've never been to Celebration, but I plan on going. You've been, right, Chris?
Yeah, I've been once.
Okay. Yeah, never been. I definitely plan on going. So we'll see. We'll see how the world turns out going into this next year.
I'm saving up for it.
You and me both, man. No, I'd show my face now in streams because I want you guys to know like who I am versus just the helmet. But in videos, I keep the helmet on. So there's that. Let's answer this question before we jump into our main discussion today. So any updates on Bo-Katan film that you were in? None recently. All I know is that it's going to come out in December. And I actually was editing some behind the scenes footage for it that'll come out after the film. So like interviewing different people and just, you know, behind the scenes stuff. So, you know, I got to finish that up and then I'll shoot that over to the director. But other than that, all I know is it's supposed to come out in December. So you guys, we should all see it soon. It'll be really fun. Okay, so why don't we go ahead and do this, you guys? Let's jump right into our discussion. So Disney Gallery, The Mandalorian, the making of season 2 finale. That is our discussion today. Number one, Xanatos, we'll start with you on this question, man. What did you think about the episode? Like, what were your thoughts?
I typically don't like I will appreciate it, but I typically don't go searching for behind the scenes stuff.
Yeah.
But just how they approached, just how they explained how they made his face, all those little details, and then seeing the involvement of Mark Hamill.
Yeah.
Like my first experience with Star Wars was seeing Luke Skywalker, you know, in the original trilogy. I grew up with it, and then the fact that Mark Hamill is also such a cool dude, like, makes it so much better.
Yep.
And just seeing that whole process of like how they did everything, how they spliced all the faces together, and had to keep it a secret, like that whole panel with Plo Koon. Like, I didn't even know that until I watched the episode.
Right. That's genius, man. I could only imagine like some of the other actors like, Plo Koon? Really? I mean, I guess that's cool. You know, I thought that was genius.
I would have been freaking out. I'm like, Plo Koon? Yes, I knew he was alive.
Right, yeah. So, but see, that's you and Dave Filoni, because he was like, everyone would know, like, that's one of his favorites, you know?
Yeah. And then like, if I was an actor, though, and I saw, like, the one gloved hand, I would have been like, oh, no, that's Luke.
Yeah. Wait a
that's
minute.
Luke.
What? Look at his costume, though. Something's off. So, yeah, man. That was a wonderful episode. Chris, what about you, man? What did you think about the episode?
So I loved the season 1 ones when they did it, where they did it like, you know, each episode was a different aspect of it, talking about, you know, like the technology, the different directors, you know, the lead actors, things like that. So I loved that one. And so when this first episode came out and they did like all the episodes in like one, and then they didn't talk about the, you know, the Luke reveal, I was like, okay. When are you going to talk about it? And then they released, they're like, oh yeah, it's coming on August 25th. And I was like, wow, really
Yeah.
stretching this out, aren't you?
Yeah.
But I love behind the scenes things, and looking at like the technical aspects. Like my brother's a filmmaker,
Oh wow.
so he, my older brother. So like especially when I was younger and I would be hanging out with him, he would be like showing me how to do different things, explaining what different things mean, whether I asked the questions or not. And so just seeing things from a technical side, I've always had that background for at least since, I don't know, Revenge of the Sith. So so being able to watch that was just really cool, and seeing the joy and the love that you can tell on the people's faces, from John to Dave to Kathy, like all of them, they just love what they're doing.
Yeah.
So, and that it's nice to see that, like, yes, us fans love it, but also the people behind the scenes across the cast and crew are also fans, and they love it just as much as we do. So it's in good hands.
Yeah, man. I really appreciated that too. There was something, John Favreau was talking about, and particularly just, I think it was good. I really hope everyone like kind of keyed into that, where he was talking about Kathleen, Kennedy's role, and, being, someone that's a producer and what she does, which I just think is so good, because so many people, there's so many, if you don't know what someone's role is and what their position is, then there's all these other clickbait rumors that float around. So I was like, yes, bravo to really shedding light on like, hey, this is what, somebody actually does that's been a part of this team for so many years. And everything that we've enjoyed, it's so many of those same faces have been a part of it. I think I enjoyed the episode. I said this before, and I think overall, you definitely felt the weight of the episode, particularly with this character Luke. Man, it's just one of those things. It's a show stealer kind of a character. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter what situation you put him in, what show you put him in. As soon as Luke is there, that character is going to take the show. So I definitely felt the emotional weight, and I enjoyed every bit of it. Next question, Chris, we'll start with you on this. They phrased this in the gallery episode, and I liked it. So what makes Luke Luke?
So I think it starts off with I mean, granted, Luke was 19 in the first one, but even just like watching it as a kid, we all have dreams of like, being an adventurer, being a hero, going out and doing, like fighting the bad guys and everything like that. So we see Luke do it, and his, we see the struggle, we identify with, like, we just, being the hero, wanted to go out on an adventure, and, we see him take his lumps, but he keeps going. He still has hope despite everything he goes through. And it really helps you latch onto this character. It's just like, yeah, I want to be Luke Skywalker, like, and also, who doesn't want to be a Jedi? Who doesn't want a lightsaber? Who doesn't want to use the Force?
Right.
He is a very human character and very linked to the nature of the human condition. So when you see that and you let that just sort of like simmer into the culture for 2 decades, a decade and a half before we got the prequels, it's a cultural phenomenon. And also, I think one of the things that worked out well with Star Wars is that it hit at the perfect time in like the global history, but especially like in American history, because with like the 70s, you had the the gas crisis and economic crisis, where we're in the Cold War, and like Vietnam is ending and things like that. And so you have like that whole generation just so disillusioned with the state of the world, and you're thrust into, through Luke, the galaxy far, far away, in this adventure, and good and evil, and it really just seeped into the culture at that. Found it here now.
Yep, I would agree with that, man. It was, I think the timing of it was definitely superb. We kind of, at the time, when Star Wars, like New Hope first came out, it was definitely, we kind of needed something that was uplifting, but also that could take you to a whole nother world, away from all the stuff that we were experiencing during the time. And yeah, it turned into this massive phenomenon that's still larger than life, today. Good stuff, man. What about you, Xanatos? What do you say? What makes a Luke Skywalker Luke?
I actually did something like this in a video last night, but it's more to what Chris was saying. When I first watched Star Wars when I was 9 years old, I was like, a sheltered, gullible kid. And you see Luke Skywalker's character, even though he's 19, he's still like a sheltered, gullible kid, doesn't know much about the outside universe.
Yeah.
And he grows into this powerful being, and then like, what kid doesn't want a glowing sword with like Jedi powers?
Right.
I mean, it was perfect, and it all resonated so well with me throughout the entire trilogy.
Yeah, I would agree with that, man. For me to answer, what makes Luke Luke? And to all my TikTok people, hello. I'm not ignoring you. We are just live on YouTube as well. So if you want to hang out with me and friends from TikTok, open up another browser. You can join us on YouTube. Be sure to subscribe. What makes Luke Luke? I think a part of it is just the hero's journey. You know what I mean? And I think that's one of the exciting things about any character, but mainly one of the things for Luke is just the transition, of being human. We've seen him, like you guys said, he's gone from, whiny farm boy to, this adventurous kid who, took down the Death Star to this mysterious, like, very almost ominous kind of figure. When we seen him in, Return of the Jedi, he was so different. Green lightsaber now, and he's wearing all black. He's going through a goth phase. Like, what's going on? This is crazy. Who is this Luke? Compared to, what we've seen in New Hope and Empire Strikes Back. But I think what makes him Luke is, he's always going to try to do the right thing. And, just being human. I think, we got to see him change so much over time. And I would even stretch that out to, the sequels as well, where it was a very different Luke from what people were used to. And I think, from my perspective, I think what makes Luke Luke is him simply being human. Aside from the godlike capabilities of being a Jedi, just the simple, change of going through life and being able to witness that with the character, I think is something that's so unique, with him. But there's still something that stays the same. And I think it's just kind of his heart, doing the right thing, that hero's journey. And that's something that I enjoy with the character. Next question. What does Luke Skywalker mean to you? Xanatos, we'll have you start that one off, man.
I don't know, like kind of this similar to what I was saying.
Yeah.
Luke Skywalker means to me kind of like the same. It felt the same as when I was growing up. So
yeah.
I connected very well with it.
Yeah.
And Luke Skywalker, as like he starts off like you were saying, as just a farm boy, then he kind of grows into like a legend.
Yeah.
And then by The Last Jedi, he hates the legend because of everything that's happened to him. Yeah. And then by the end of The Last Jedi, he becomes like super legendary by just displaying this massive force power.
Yeah.
And goes out exactly like a Jedi does, using the force for knowledge and defense.
Yeah. Which is so strange, I'm glad I rewatched The Last Jedi over and over again, because now it is clearly my favorite of the sequels. That is my favorite. And I hated that moment when I first seen it, when he, did the force projection. I was like, because this is where I'm coming from when I first seen it. I wanted him to be like Goku.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and like that Ultra Instinct moment, like, oh, he actually came back. No, like he actually shaved and made himself look all good. No, he actually came back, and took on, the First Order and Kylo Ren. Like, I really wanted him to physically be there. I just thought that would have been cool. And then I was like, he was a force projection. What? But then, the more I watched it, and then having conversations, with folks like you, where it's like, no, that's definitely Luke. If you think about his character, one thing that's never changed is like, he's always going to try to find the peaceful solution. If you think about a Jedi, it's not about, that was the most Jedi, Luke thing that he could have done, was using force projection and kind of being a symbol of hope, because at the end of the day, it wasn't about him, So I thought that I've grown to love that so much. I didn't like it at first, but I've grown to love it so much, man.
Yeah,
So.
yeah. What you were saying, Legends Luke is a lot like Goku, because a lot of that
Oh, really?
happens. Yeah, I mean,
Oh
he's
yeah.
ultra powerful.
Oh shit! I gotta read Legends, man.
Narratively, though, in The Last Jedi, that completely worked for what they were going for.
Yeah.
And I actually just rewatched The Last Jedi recently, and I like it better. Like, I didn't like it as much before, but a lot of opinions changed when I watched it recently, and it's everything worked out so well.
Yeah. Yep. Chris, what about you, man? What does Luke mean to you?
Luke is the quintessential hero. So, he, as Anna said earlier, he always wants to do, and you said earlier, he always wants to do the right thing. Even if it ends up being the wrong thing for the moment, like we see in an Empire, when he goes to save his friends, like, he didn't have to do that. That wasn't the right thing to do, but it was what he thought was the right thing to do. Like, it was out of the goodness of his heart, not trying to be like, oh, look how powerful I am or how powerful I've become. Like, it's like, no, my friends need my help. I gotta go help them. And I think even when we get to The Last Jedi, he still think he's doing what's right for the galaxy, saying the Jedi need to end because look what the Jedi led up to, look at what their hypocrisy and hubris led to. It led to the creation of Darth Vader, wiping them all out and then ushering the galaxy into the age of the Empire. And then he's like, well, look at me. I thought I was doing this right and good thing, starting up the Jedi again. And I ended up creating Kylo Ren. So maybe I and the rest of the Jedi religion just need to go. And even though that was wrong, he was not doing it purely out of, just utter depression and dejection. He thought that it was the right thing to do because he was looking at it from one certain lens point. I also wanted to see Luke do some crazy stuff, just like, even if he died at the end of The Last Jedi, I was like, just show me like him. Like, if he did it in The Mandalorian, like they showed in a flashback of like him and Ben like fighting some people, and Ben regress kept like getting darker, and I'd be like, okay, all right, I'm satisfied with what I got. But like my Last Jedi relationship is different than yours, because I walked out of that movie loving it.
Yeah,
I was like, top 3 Star Wars film. Oh my gosh, this was so good. And then it kind of mellowed out as it started to digest more, and
interesting.
So Luke was never really, besides the fact that of course I didn't want Luke Skywalker to die, and I wanted to see him do some really cool lightsaber and force power stuff. I never really had a problem with how they took his character, because I get it, I got it. And also the fact that he did what Yoda and Obi-Wan did. He just took it a step further by cutting himself off from the Force. But Luke, he's not perfect. There is a man behind the legend, and that's what The Last Jedi is trying to show. Because even though we see in stories that were in Legends that surrounded the original trilogy, and even now in canon where people are hyping Luke up as we still see that he's still a man or a scared kid, depending on how you categorize a 19 to 22 year old,
right?
That he's still human, and he's still flawed, and he still feels fear. He's not infallible, especially after he gets his butt handed to him by Vader. So
good call, man. I think and by the way, this came to mind when you were talking, Chris. My wife asked me, what would you like from Chick-fil-A? Chicken. I think by the way, that's what was that lost my train of thought. What was I saying? Yes, you did a trailer on your page, Chris, that I really, really liked. I thought it was actually like beautifully made. I was like, this actually kind of feels like a cinematic trailer. I wanted that to be a trailer. If viewers, if you know what I'm talking about, Star Wars Lawyer, he did a trailer like a while ago, and it was with it was like clips of The Last Jedi, but it started off with that moment where like Luke was talking to Rey and literally going into that thing you were talking about, where he was like, this is the reason why like the Jedi need to end. And it was just one of those things. So you got to get a glimpse of his perspective where it was like, this is happening all over again. It's a full circle kind of thing where, this is exactly how the Jedi fell when Darth Sidious took over. And it happened under their noses. And then what happens to him in his Jedi school? It's like the exact same thing. So to start it off, a trailer like that, when you get like perspective, with his lens, I was like, oh, that was if they did that, I was like, I wanted that, man. So it was really good. What does Luke Skywalker mean to me? I think a lot of what you guys have already said. Again, hero's journey. He is, this powerful being, but he's also a human, and I think he's, you can still relate with him. Where you have people that you care about. You guys have friends where it's like, you would do anything to help them, protect them, whatever. And I think the cool thing about him, he's a role model that, I've always looked up to in the sense of, before there was a Din Djarin, before there was the Mandalorian, there was always Luke, from day one, where, you wanted to follow that hero's journey. And, they always set the example of, they're going to make mistakes, but at the end of the day, he's always trying to do the right thing, even if, his vision may be swayed at some point. He's always still trying to do the right thing and not necessarily for selfish gain. And that's something that, I've always enjoyed about his character. Now let's get into our next question. I mentioned this earlier, and I think this is probably a good time to talk about it for sure. The weight of this character. And I guess I could kick this off first, and then I'll hand it over to you guys. But I really felt the weight of this episode. I felt the weight of the character. You can even kind of feel it in the tone of how Mark Hamill was talking to, where, it's crazy to think, like, even after all these years, him being invited back to step into that role again, there was this sense of responsibility, that he had. And even the directors were like, oh my God, this is exciting. It's Luke, but holy crap, it's Luke. Like, oh my God, we have to nail this. We have to get this right. There's such a responsibility that people upheld. Now, with that, and this is where I want to hear from you guys on this for sure, where we compare, not in a bad way, don't take it this way, but we're looking at sequels, Luke versus The Mandalorian or Return of the Jedi type of Luke, right? And you say, you look at the time gap, obviously. And it's so funny when we were talking about the sequel movies where, everything that we seen in The Mandalorian, literally one man coming back and taking on what's left of the Empire like it was nothing, was literally what we wanted to see, like in the sequels, where, even Luke says it, like, well, what did you think? I was going to come back and take on the First Order with a laser sword? And we're all like, yes, that's exactly what we wanted you to do. And, they kind of, it's so funny when you look at it. It's like, that's literally what they did, in The Mandalorian. I think over time, I've grown to understand, Luke's character in the sequel trilogy, as we've talked about. I think that's one thing I would encourage fans is just take time to not have a lack of understanding and kind of look at perspective. But the beautiful thing that I think was mentioned within this gallery episode was that with a character like this, the last time any of us seen him, was so many years ago. And then the next time you see him, it's this total like, whoa, what happened? You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And I think that's where a lot of uproar, understandably, came from. But I think there's so much room to say, okay, what happened from point A to point B? You know what I mean? And I think that's where they kind of have wiggle room to kind of play around with that. Let me hear you guys' thoughts on that. Chris, we'll start with you, man. Like, did you feel the weight of this episode? And hopefully you guys get what I'm saying of like filling in the gaps of time. Like, I think that's something that could definitely be necessary and deserved, for Luke. But I want to hear you guys' thoughts on that. Chris, I'll let you take it away.
Yeah, so timeline in Star Wars is always weird, because when in the movies specifically, we don't have this, like in the movie it says, okay, this is 0 ABY or 0 BBY technically.
Yeah.
And Empire, that's 3 BBY or ABY, and Return of the Jedi is 4 ABY, and we don't have that. So when people see these movies, they kind of like impart the time that has passed on screen or in between the movies to it, and that's not always necessarily the case. So when people see Luke in The Last Jedi, they're like, oh man, Luke has been depressed for like 20 years. And it's like, no, he's only been chilling on Octo for like 6.5, 7 years, right?
Yeah.
So
what the hell have you been doing for 20 years, man?
Right.
Depressed, go depress these dishes. What you depressed about?
Depress these dishes. So then when you see with the fact that what we hear about in The Force Awakens with Kylo Ren, destroying the Jedi Temple, only took place 7 years before the movie, because The Force Awakens and The Last Jedi literally occur within a week of each other. Yeah. Then, the timeline is like, okay, there is this other time where Luke is pretty much like crescendoing. He's going higher and higher, and that is the part where he, goes downhill. But if you don't remember that, then people think that, okay, all right, well, where is that peak? Before he starts heading downward. So now we're seeing Luke in a peak, because even though the Return of the Jedi was sort of like the high point of the story, now with canon, but even in Legends, that wasn't the end.
Yeah. Yeah.
So to show the first really action bit besides of a flashback piece of the story, something that's happening in the present, it's a tremendous amount of weight of like trying to do like, okay, Luke is getting there, he's starting out as a teacher, he's stronger than what he was in Jedi, and we have to show that, but we don't want to make him a god like he was in Legends, he has to, he has to grow. He's been growing. He's still not perfect, so we got to show him like, okay, he still got hit by one of the droids, and then he's like, and so and I think people went into it where, and going back to The Last Jedi for a second, people went into that movie not remembering the lessons that the prequels taught us. They went into it as these are purely sequels to the original trilogy and not sequels to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. The prequels taught us about the Jedi's hubris. Clone Wars taught us about the Jedi's hubris, and yet, here we are.
Everything kind of comes full circle for sure. Good point, man. Xanatos, what about you, man? When we're thinking about, sequels Luke versus, Return of the Jedi or Mandalorian Luke, and the time gap there, plus the weight of the episode, what are your thoughts on all of that stuff, man?
Well, it even took me a bit, like you were saying earlier, Chris was saying earlier with, I went into I walked out of The Last Jedi like blown away, and then it took a while to like simmer and be like, you know what, I'm not sure how I feel about some of that. And I analyzed it more, but then watching it again, like, oh yeah, okay, Luke, what happened to Luke makes sense narratively. It's exactly like what happened to Yoda, what happened to Obi-Wan. It's just like we don't have that information to go on, like how exactly it happened. And then when you go to the Mandalorian finale, that's one of the few times where I've seen like every Star Wars fan come together in enjoying it. Being like the whole weight of it. Even the people that made it were there as fans, like watching it all unfold. And how they were talking about the process of like showing his hand, his gloved hand, showing like I vividly remember watching the end of the episode at like 3 a.m. and looking for those details, like, oh, the lightsaber's green. Is it the same hilt? Is it a gloved hand? That's Luke Skywalker. And then I still didn't believe it. I'm like, are they going to pull a fast one? And he pulls the hood down. It's like, oh my god, that's Luke Skywalker. And just like that's to coin a phrase from people that have a negative opinion on stuff I've heard say, like, that's the Luke Skywalker we wanted. It's like, all right, well, that's not, that doesn't, it works fine for that time period.
Right. Yeah.
But you have all this other life stuff happening. It's going to change.
Yeah. And I think, I'm glad you mentioned that, man, because, well, number one, let me backtrack, because I'm right there with you. Chris, I don't know if you were there during the watch. No, I think it was me and Nico. You may have been there for a minute, maybe. But I remember, like, it was 1 a.m., a little after 1 a.m. when the finale premiered. And I was, like, on the edge of my seat. My wife was sitting next to me. My daughter was asleep. I didn't care. Like, my daughter was asleep. I was like, I don't care. I was jumping up, screaming, like, no, wait. I was like, could it be Ezra? Are they bringing Ezra? Because, that was kind of a rumor going around. Like, are they bringing Ezra or Cal Kestis? We didn't know. But I was like, wait, green lightsaber, glove. Oh, I was jumping up, man. So right there with you. The hype was real, and it was crazy. But you definitely felt the emotional weight then. You definitely felt it here, more so the responsibility. And I think that's the cool thing, too, is to see, like, even after all these years, Mark Hamill and Jon Favreau, Dave Filoni, everyone that was behind it, still carries this emotional weight and responsibility with this character because they know what it means, to so many fans. And something else that they mentioned too was like, a lot of the people that are watching, now have kids. Like that's us. We're like adults, and we have kids, and we're in that phase of kind of allowing them to have their first experience, with things. But one of the things you mentioned too, Xanatos, is the peak Luke. Yes, it fits for this time frame. And I think a lot of people tend to forget, like, hey, this is 5 years after the Return of the Jedi, where this is taking place. You put yourself in that picture if you're an athlete, like Michael Jordan, for instance. You know what I mean? Like, we're talking Space Jam, Michael Jordan, during the time when he was playing, like, at his peak versus today. You think he's going to still be able to do the same things he was doing then, now? Like, no. Mm-hmm. Life changes. Things happen to people, and you can't – I don't think it's really a fair comparison, but I think the main thing that I think was kind of the upset is the time gap. There's this massive time gap of, like, okay, like, we get, like, things have happened, but then there's this space and time, like, that still has room to be explored, which I feel like and that's going to be another thing we're going to talk about, but I feel like they're tampering with that, where it's like, okay, let's touch on what happened, that led up to all of these different events. There's comics and stuff out there. I highly recommend reading Rise of Kylo Ren. Oh, that's good. Oh, that's good stuff. Definitely read that if you guys haven't. But that touches on some things. Like, if you want to know, like, a little bit more of what happened to, like, Luke's Jedi school, how Kylo, Ben Solo got connected with the Knights of Ren. Oh, dude, that is good. So definitely check that out if you guys haven't. I know you guys have, but everyone else who's watching, like, oh yeah, please definitely check it out. So our next question is technology is pretty crazy. Am I right? Number one, I bring this up because this kind of gets into another question with Sebastian Stan. I know he wasn't mentioned, but the technology is pretty insane. So if you think about it, everything that they had to do, so it wasn't deep fake. For those who watched, this was literally like, capturing, Mark Hamill's face and movements. It was one of the most tedious and I guess expensive, types of, VFX that they had to use that's out there. So that's what they did for capturing, Mark Hamill's face and using the other actor, in place of movement. But here's the thing: if it's so tedious, it's that expensive. I think they said, you know what? Let's go all in on this specific moment because this is going to be a big deal for the Mandalorian. Now, here's my thing. This is why I mentioned Sebastian Stan. I don't necessarily see them going forward and continuously doing that, because I just think of how much you could potentially do with Luke, and filling in some of those time gaps with a process like that with the technology that they've been using. I mean, I could be wrong. Technology just continues to advance, so there could be easier ways to do it. But I just feel like there's a lot of talk, and even Hamill himself has come out and said multiple times, that Sebastian Stan, is a lookalike. Mm-hmm. and a fan favorite for a potential recasting. Now, Sebastian Stan has also said like, hey, he's not gonna do anything until he gets a phone call from Mark Hamill that confirms that he wants to share the role with him. But my thoughts, and this is my question to you guys, with seeing that and learning how they did the technology, do you guys think like, man, was that like a one-time big special thing? Or do you think they're going to continue to use Mark Hamill? Or is it like, hey, maybe if we're going to explore what Prime Luke was doing up to the time of going into the sequels, is it time to recast and maybe think about Sebastian Stan? What are you guys' thoughts on that? Xanatos, I'll let you start it off, man.
Well, when you look at all the stuff they did to get Mark Hamill there, like even bringing the wardrobe to his house and bringing Grogu to his house, and he had to dress up and kind of feel the role. I think they could still use the technology for a big reveal at the end of a season like they did before, but it might be more efficient if they had someone like Sebastian Stan fill the role, so they don't have to do all that CGI, they don't have to do all the deep fake face stuff, and just have him continue the role, and maybe have Mark Hamill there as a consultant of sorts.
Yeah.
Be like, this is how I think Luke would do this, or how I, think he would move. Kind of like what he was doing with the other actor.
Yeah.
And they kind of did the same scenes together. I think that would be more cost effective.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like it was a love letter to Mark Hamill, in my opinion. That last episode, if anything, I think, you guys could correct me if I'm wrong on this, but I'm pretty sure he came out like a while ago saying like he was pretty much done with. The case is kind of closed on his chapter of doing anything with Luke Skywalker, and then we get the Mandalorian. It's like, oh, he's back. But at the same time, I kind of feel like this was kind of a proper send off to say, hey, let's do it big one more time for Hamill and for the fans. That's kind of what I took, from that. Chris, what do you think, man?
So I don't know if we're gonna do any more CGI age downs, because with Tarkin, was the total digital CGI recreation, which always felt a little off to me. But then you have Carrie Fisher as Leia for Rogue One, and you kind of have to do that if you're gonna have Leia in there. But then, with Leia and the Rise of Skywalker, because Carrie Fisher had passed, then you had to do that, and they used her daughter as sort of like the stand-in, because her daughter was already in the movies. Billy Lord was already in the movies, so they just used her as a stand-in. And so, people want to see Jedi Leia. People want to see Leia's training. So if we are going to do a Luke, you could do Sebastian Stan. You could also use Max Lloyd-Jones, who was the body double, the picture double in the Mandalorian, and he is 30. And a lot of people say that Millie Bobby Brown looks like a young Leia, but Millie Bobby Brown's 17. So
is she really 17?
Yeah, she's 17. So it's like you can't have a 30-year-old and a 17-year-old play twins when she still looks young and he looks like he's, like a full adult male.
Right.
So, Billy Lord is like going on 30. She's like 28, 29, somewhere in there.
Yeah.
So you could potentially have the two of them if you wanted to do something like that, and if you wanted to apply that to it. But it would have to be in the service of some greater story. It couldn't just be, like one-off flashback, unless you wanted to do something animated and then you bring in Mark Hamill back as a voice actor. Because if you do post-sequel content and you have Rey communing with like the Force Ghost, you got three options. You got Yoda, Obi-Wan, and Luke, because Carrie Fisher's no longer here, so it can't be Leia. So if you wanted to do that, if you did it animated, then that's easy to bring in. If you did it live action, then Mark kind of has to come back.
My thoughts on this, just as you were talking, it made me think about something, and maybe Man, I was like, maybe I should do a TikTok video on this. I don't know. But anyway, so you know how Marvel has their what if, right? I think like how could you do this is a good idea. But I'm just saying, how could Star Wars do a what if? They already have, if you think about it. Legends, right?
Mhm.
Legends is Star Wars what if. So what if, just hear me out, Sebastian Stan, if they did cast him as Luke, they created a Legends kind of separate content, you know, where it's like it's distinguished. Like, hey, you know, what if the story went this way instead? You know what I mean? And Sebastian Stan comes in as that Luke. Where again, you know, Mark Hamill, if he's still up for returning, you know, to the Mandalorian and filling in these certain spots, then you know they could continue to use Mark Hamill if he still wants to be present. But you know, what if they were going to do something with Legends and kind of like a what if thing, you know, for Star Wars? I feel like Legends would be the way to do it because that's pretty much what it is. You know, so I don't know. That's an idea, man. I feel like if they did it, I think that would be cool. I don't know.
I mean, while I have no problem with that, especially when it comes to like some of the prequels Legends material that I love and hold near and dear to my heart, based on how a certain segment of the fan base has reacted literally everything post The Last Jedi, they're in timeout and they haven't earned it. They haven't earned a what if. I think it would cause more harm than good.
It's a good idea.
As much as I want it.
Yeah. I would agree with that, man. One can dream, right? So let's see. We got a couple more questions, guys, before we wrap up. Luke in future episodes, you know, we kind of talked a little bit about that. Again, I guess kind of the main thing really is, you know, where do you think Luke will kind of go from this point on? So after, you know, what we've seen with, you know, season 2 finale of The Mandalorian, where do you guys think it will go? Like after everything that we've talked about today, like, do you think that they're going to continue to use Mark Hamill, or again, who else would be your choice, or what would be your choice to, you know, further the character when we think about this time gap? And what I mean by that is like, do you think we're going to get a branch off show for like Luke and Grogu kind of a thing, like that Jedi Academy kind of style? What are your thoughts, Chris? I'll let you start it off, man.
I think your best way to do it would be comics and books. You have so much on your plate here, and while we do want the in between of the originals and the sequels to be fleshed out, we honestly should just explore areas of Star Wars that we have not gotten before. You know, like let's leave the prequel and the original era. Let's leave the things that we've seen in the movies, even some of the things in between. Let's start looking post sequels. Let's, you know, continue to do more prequel stuff like we're getting the High Republic and Acolyte. Let's do more things like Visions. You know, let's do like, you know, the rumor, or it's not even a rumor, I guess the theory is probably the better word for it. The theory is that like Taika's Star Wars movie and Rian Johnson's would be like set, like Taika's would be set during like the beginning of like the Jedi, like the Prime Jedi, or Rian Johnson's would be about that. That's the theory. Nothing confirmed, but that's what people think. So like, let's focus on things like that. Let's flesh out the other areas of Star Wars. Let's really build the mythos a bit more with canon and non-conflicting ideas
outside of just one family kind of a thing.
Like I love the Skywalkers, but you know, like the more you build things out, the more opportunities you have for stories elsewhere.
Yeah, no, I would agree with that. Xanatos, man, what do you think? Where does Luke go from here? What would you like to see?
Yeah, I think from what Chris said too, like I think it's you have the opportunity to tell the most when you do comics and books.
Yeah.
And I just had a thought of like, man, if they did a book with Luke and Grogu and like Mark for the audiobook, Mark Hamill narrates it.
Oh, yes.
But
I want that.
I was so ready, like after watching episode 9, I was so ready. I was like, okay, give me more sequel content. I want to know what happens to these characters afterwards.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then they went back like 200 years. Okay, High Republic stuff now.
Right. You're like, what?
Like I like you finally got me. You finally hooked me to want to know more, and then you're not even gonna tell me anything.
Yeah. Yeah. And I wonder, I don't know, man. It's so crazy. I wonder if a lot of that is, they mentioned this too in the gallery. John Favreau talked about it, like, as someone who behind the scenes, there's those moments where if you allow yourself to dip into that Liverpool of comments and theories, it can make or break you, depending on how far you go. And I wonder, a part of that is like, I wonder because of how much, how many opinions are out there based on the sequels, rather good or bad. I wonder if they're like, let's let that sit for a second before we dish anything else out, and let's figure out kind of where we're going to go with these characters. One thing that Chris and I have talked about before, and I'm like, damn it, I want to see it canon now. I think it would be great. He and I have, he got me through so many difficult times in life, particularly with Jedi Knight Academy. Chris is the MVP since day one. Honestly, we have talked about that game and saying, okay, here's an idea. Whether it's a video game or a show, I think it would be great. But do Jedi Knight Academy, and you could switch up the characters where instead of Luke, you have Rey, who's kind of like that main character leading the school. And now, you get these flashback moments where she's looking through like Jedi text, that Luke had. And in those flashback moments, as she's reading, you kind of get to see, younger Luke and what he was doing at the time. But then at the same time, you fast forward back to the present, with Rey and Finn and their training and what's going on with their characters going forward. I'm just like, yeah, I want that. I think that would be really sick. So yeah,
Finn would fit perfectly in the Kyle Katarn role too.
Exactly.
Like,
Exactly.
Oh my God, yes, Chris, didn't we just talk about this last time we were live? We
were
like,
you do Jedi Outcast, and that be Finn, and then you do the sequel, Jedi Knight, Jedi Academy, and you have it be, a new character that will be canon that was Jaden Core, because Jaden Core's story went post the games.
Yep.
He did more stuff. Raj didn't, which is hilarious, but Raj didn't. Raj just kind of went away. But and then you can have like, if you go on the dark side path and be, like have that not be the canon story, unless you want it to be, how there's like, so many games now have this is the true ending. Then you have like the good endings that are alongside of it. Then you have the terrible endings, right? So you could do a game of
like Mortal Kombat,
right, and then just post like, okay, no, this one's the canon one when you release like a novel alongside the game. Because all the Star Wars games that have been released like on consoles have been canon. So like the Battlefront 2 storyline, and then that came with a book, Inferno Squadron. So like that's good. And so like you have the opportunities there. Just do it.
Yeah, I'm all for that, man. Oh, Xanatos, what you said about like if they're gonna do a book and then have a Mark Hamill narrate. Oh my God, I'm like, man, my nipples got hard just talking about it. I want that so bad right now, man. I'm like, yes. If Hamill's ever watching any of our live streams, like, please tell this to the higher ups. I definitely want that now. I think that would be great. But honestly, yeah, man, I think you guys are right in that sense of like, there's really no need. I think I've grown and matured as a fan to where I've learned, and I talked about this before. I'm not going to drag it on too much longer, but again, I've talked about this before in the sense I've learned to have an opinion for myself, where I feel like a lot of like the sequel movies, I went in and, listening to a lot of different people, whether it was friends or some other YouTuber, whatever. And you kind of have that as a basis for before you go see the film for yourself. So I've learned to stop doing that, where it's like, no, you know what? If I want to listen to a review, or if I want to review something, I'm going to go see it first. I'm going to go read that book first, and then we're going to go talk about it, and then see if our ideas align or not. You know what I mean? And so I think that's something that, I've definitely grown to be better at. It's like, you know what, I'm gonna form an opinion for myself. But god damn, I gotta tell you, those ideas right there would be fantastic. Just I think the message of it all is really just moving forward. I think would be really cool. We want to see more of what's happening now with those characters, but a little break yeah. Oh, what were you saying, Chris?
I remember going into each of the movies, so I knew like nothing going into The Force Awakens, and then I accidentally spoiled something for myself, like literally 2 minutes before the movie started, because I saw The Force Awakens at Disney, so they had like the entire Disney AMC theater was showing nothing but The Force Awakens, right? And it's like this whole hold on, I'll be right
back. Oh, he's gonna go grab something. He's going in, man.
So came with this ticket.
Ooh.
And came with a little stand, and they did like this little event afterwards. But yeah, so every theater was The Force Awakens, and it was staggered. So like every 15 minutes they were starting a new theater. So you could hear the theaters around you when it started, because you could hear the cheers, you could hear the and so like when I knew, like I think mine started at 7:15. I think maybe a little later. But it was on a 15.
Yeah.
So it's like 13. I'm like, all right, I'm gonna go get that Kylo Ren gift where he like activates the lightsaber. So I'm getting it on Google, Kylo Ren, and it fills out, kills Han. And I'm like, what? No. And so then I like hurry up and get the gift and like post it on whatever social media, and I go away. And when the time the movie starts, I forgot all about it.
Oh my god.
And when it happens, I was like, no. Oh
wait,
no. And
thank God for short-term memory, right?
Right. With The Last Jedi, I went in, like hearing some of the rumors, but the funniest rumor to me by far was that the big twist, the Luke, I am your father moment, was Luke was going to tell Rey that she was his father, that she was a reincarnation of Anakin. What? And that was the rumor, the theory that was out there. I was like,
you're like, what?
I was like, what are we, Avatar: The Last Airbender? Right. And that like the chosen one was a generational thing, and I was like,
wow.
And then that obviously turned out to be completely wrong. Although I did think it was true when she's in the cave and she's looking in the mirror and she's like, show me my parents, and she sees herself, and I was about to be like, no.
Yeah.
And then The Rise of Skywalker, I knew about 80% of that movie before it came out. But that's a different story.
Yeah. Man, let me tell you guys. Well, I enjoyed this episode. And for anyone who's like missing The Mandalorian right now, like go watch, Disney Gallery, The Mandalorian season 2 finale. It's out now. That's what we've been talking about for over an hour. It is fantastic. It is great. You guys definitely want to treat yourself to that. And again, man, just the emotional weight of it all. I think we as fans, you felt it then, you felt it now after watching this. And I think it's just so cool that the heart is still there. You know what I mean? But overall, I do agree with you guys in terms of for those who are major Luke fans and kind of want to know a little bit more of like, hey, what happened from Return of the Jedi to the sequels? I think, again, books would be fantastic. I think that would be a great thing to do. Because, again, when you think about the character of Luke Skywalker, kind of what he means to you, what he means to us, it's almost Luke Skywalker. Mark Hamill is Luke Skywalker. You know what I mean? And that's just kind of what it is. You know what I mean? Yeah, we live in a day and age where you could always recast and all these things, but there's just something about the essence of a character. And I think that's why they went through those extreme lengths in The Mandalorian, is to have that authenticity where it's like, Mark Hamill is Luke, and there's really no replacing that, So I don't know, man. I mean, hey, if we're getting more animated Luke, I'll take it. I'm not gonna complain. But for those you got the itch like I do every day for a little more Mandalorian stuff, go and watch the gallery. It's awesome. Other than that, you guys have please. I know you guys can't physically do it, but if you could send emojis here on TikTok and on YouTube, give it up for my boy Chris and Xanatos for being here today. And they've been killing it on my TikTok Thank you guys. By the way, I have a house tour coming up soon, so I'm gonna film that like MTV like Cribs style, but I'll be in my Mando gear. So I'm gonna bring everyone into my house, so you guys can kind of like see everything. You get to see the office, you get to see the whole house. It's gorgeous. I got a lot of like yard work and stuff to do, like chopping down trees. My father-in-law is here now. He's gonna show me how to use a freaking chainsaw. It's gonna be amazing, guys. So I got a lot of stuff to do in like the yard, but everything else is really great. So I can't wait to show you guys. And thank you guys seriously so much for helping out. It has given me such a breather to be like, all right, I can kind of just focus on the house and the kids and just kind of chill. It's been nice. So anyway, I'll be back to norm as far as posting wise first week of September, but live streams are back on. So I'll be live again. Might go live later tonight. We'll see. I got family in town, so we'll just see what the evening looks like. But I know I'll be live tomorrow talking about something. So if you guys want to come through and chat, let me know. Other than that, you guys take care. Thank you so much for tuning in. Bye, guys.
See ya.